But why is she posting this photo? Like, what is the point of this? To share your baby sucking on your boob? It's just weird. And there are rumors, you know, people say that she flew to Romania and hooked up with Andrew Tate. But I did tweet this out, never trust a hoe, and Andrew Tate himself responded and said, never. Candace Owens just obliterated Mikhaila Peterson live on Piers Morgan Uncensored, and I was personally so excited to watch this debate because I too am a common Mikhaila Peterson, aka Jordan Peterson's kind of slutty daughter online. I like to make fun of her online, and I'll get into that because I've posted some stuff about her on X that's done pretty well, and I'll even fill you guys in on the tea with her and Andrew Tate. Yes, the top G. But yeah, so they had a crazy debate about H1B visas, which I did do a video about that, and I'm obviously against H1B visas and the push from the Trump campaign with Elon Musk and Vivek. However, so go watch that video. I will make it like a card up here in the beginning or link it down below, whatever. You can find it. It's not hard. Just use the brain cells that God gave you. Anyways, they also get into a pretty heated back and forth because Candace Owens recently made a video kind of exposing Jordan Peterson and questioning his mental health status and the drugs that he's taken, et cetera, et cetera. And Mikhaila Peterson calls out Candace Owens on that, and it's going viral for an amazing reason. By the way, make sure you like today's video, subscribe, comment, go Candace, I don't know, MAGA, orange heart, whatever, to help boost the video in the algorithm, and we'll get right into the drama because it's freaking good. So for this first part, I wanted to show you guys this clip when Candace Owens destroys Mikhaila Peterson about the H1B visa program. Watch this. And also, by the way, Mikhaila Peterson does the typical thing that leftists do and basically says, I'm so sick of the racism. Oh my gosh. She does it. Shocker to no one. That's not a word I cannot say here on YouTube. Let's hit it.
Conservative Party by arguing about 85,000 H1B visas when we have an open border. And I don't like the racism.
Okay. Candace, I mean, do you see common ground there in what you just heard from Mikhaila? And what do you also feel about the fact that for Steve Bannon and the diehard MAGA group, they look at this as a betrayal when they see Vivek and Elon and now Trump as well, all piling in, enthusiastically supporting this. They say, well, hang on, that's not about making America great again. They're not buying into, we need to get all these brilliant people coming here. They think it's a system that's being abused, and that it goes against the spirit of MAGA. So you're seeing a real interesting debate raging about the heart of what MAGA really means.
I think Steve Bannon fully has his finger on the pulse there, so he's completely right. And just to respond to the point about seeing racist comments on Twitter, I've heard this argument a lot of times from people where they'll suddenly pretend that if you take a position of something and they can find a racist comment beneath it, then you're on the side of the racist.
That's not what I'm doing.
That's just called... I'm just saying that literally since the day that I started my accounts on Instagram, I've been called the N-word from left and the right. It's just welcome to the internet. You know, doesn't mean that these are the positions that are represented. In fact, this conversation that we're having is something that I would almost refer to as MAGA 101. This is like a freshman year class in MAGA college. I've been hearing this debate, have spoken about this debate on stage. I mean, I've spoken at more than 100 universities. And to be frank with you, because I came over from the left, when I first got into this movement, I thought the same thing. I thought, okay, well, I don't understand what the issue is if it's legal migration. But I then listened to people and I wanted to understand where people were coming from. And I opened my mind to what they were saying and realized that they were very much correct. And I think that's sort of where you get into trouble with the MAGA movement, when you just instantly sweep away and condemn everyone and say, well, some people were saying racist stuff about Indians, and so this entire argument now is based on racism. It simply isn't. You know, Vivek, I personally stumped for Vivek. So if you think that I'm going to be on board with people being racist for him, when I went on the ground with him all throughout Iowa when he was running for president, of course not. I'm also brown myself, but I understand that this has nothing to do with the merits of the arguments that are being presented here. And it is just a fact that the H-1B visa, the majority of the people that are coming into this country are not coming in with any extraordinary skills, are not coming in because they're a part of the 1%. It is being completely abused and jobs are being taken away from the American people. Now, Piers, to your point about the MAGA rift, shift. I'm glad to see it. I very much agree with Steve Bannon. I mean, the last estimate that was done, by the way, and this speaks to Mikhaila, you saying it's just 85,000 people that are allowed annually. Well, the last estimate that was done in 2019 approximated that 600,000 foreign nationals were here on this visa program, all of them being provided with a pathway to citizenship that doesn't include in 2 years. You can then get out of that program and become a permanent resident. Okay, so that they're allowed to stay in this country from up to 6 years. They don't apply for permanent residency. Of course, we can assume that the majority of them do. And they're allowed to stay up to 10 years if they go to work for the Department of Defense. Again, all of these applicants have a pathway to citizenship. So you just imagine you're like, yeah, I just went to work in America as a teacher for a couple of years and I became a citizen, or as a janitor for a couple of years and I became a citizen. It's not okay. And I want to be clear, all across the board, it's not just the H1B. There's a ton of visa programs that are being routinely abused. And like I said, I have faith in the American people. I think that the American people can fulfill those positions. I know they can fulfill those positions. And so I am not on the side of Elon Musk and Trump in this debate. And I think that, Elon Musk has been at Mar-a-Lago for a bit too long and thinks that that is the sample of what MAGA is, and it simply isn't. Steve Bannon has been on the ground and spoken to those people for years. He understands what they're saying. And it would be gracious for Elon Musk to kind of step down and recognize that he's simply wrong in this debate.
So true, Candace. So true. I mean, it was just such typical leftist behavior of Mikhaila to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of the racism. Be more predictable. By the way, Mikhaila Peterson is an immigrant here in America from Canada, and we'll even talk more tea on that because there was a lot of Twitter beef. A lot of people are mad at Mikhaila Peterson online. But before we do that, I did want to show you guys this clip where Mikhaila Peterson calls out Candace Owens over her video on her dad, Jordan Peterson's benzos withdrawal. Watch this.
And I think it's funny that you mentioned ad hominem attacks after you released a 26-minute video detailing my dad's benzo withdrawal and allergic reactions out on YouTube. It's just funny, like you're going after me for ad hominem.
Well, actually, look, now you mentioned that, I was going to bring that. Well, hang on. I was going to bring that up. For those who don't know what you're talking about, let's play a little clip from that.
Well, I didn't sleep that month. I didn't sleep for 25 days. I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all for 25 days.
How is that possible?
I'll tell you how it's possible. You lay in bed.
By the way, I remember seeing this when this was like news, like when it was a new thing, a new story out, and being like, what? How does that happen? I think that's a very valid question for anyone to ask, right?
Frozen in something approximating terror for 8 hours, and then you get up.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Not
and
good.
This is from cider.
I feel like Joe Rogan is all of us. I'm listening to that, and it doesn't pass the sniff test. I'm just going, wait, what, apple cider? You didn't sleep for how long? What are you talking about? He brings up Mikhaila, by the way. That's his daughter. We're going to get into it. That explanation does not make sense to me whatsoever. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not claiming to know how everybody's body reacts to apple cider, but I just don't think that you wouldn't sleep for that long because of it.
Okay, so
Where
Mikhaila,
was the ad hominem attack?
Well, I'll come to you in a moment, Candace. Mikhaila, how did you feel when you heard about that?
Well, I think it's funny because like we're connected online, Candace. So if she has an issue with my family, she could literally just message me. Her husband has my husband's phone number, So it's just like a weird thing to do. I don't know where it came from. As for the apple cider reaction, I've gone over this so many times, but it's fair if Candace didn't know this. Although I don't know why you would make a 26-minute video without doing some research. It wasn't apple cider. It was a sodium metabisulfite allergy. And it was near anaphylaxis. And people don't sleep in that state. And when we went through that, which was horrible, it was horrible. We had a hard time with the medical system. We didn't know how to treat it. It took us like years to figure out what the allergy was. If you talk to a doctor and say you have that allergy, they go, what's that? Like, it's not a common allergy, but it's not uncommon. You can Google it. And it just seems a little bit cruel to like pull that up. You also started that video by saying, why is Jordan Peterson's audience, male audience, like diminishing? Let's get into it, which is just, it's manipulative, right? It's not true. So you have this giant audience, Candace, and you say these things as if they're true, which confuses people when they're not. So I don't know what to say about it. It's aggravating, and I think it's a mean girl high school tactic.
Okay, Candace, you're a mean girl.
Again, accusing me of ad hominem attacks when I feel like she's engaging in them. Just to be clear and to contextualize this clip, Jordan Peterson was trending. I cover trends, I cover the news, and I think it's fair to cover topics when they come to the surface. He was essentially tweeting ad hominem attacks that were written like sonnets. It was very bizarre, and people were going, "What's going on with Dr. Jordan Peterson?" And it became a Twitter trend, and so I covered it. Is there something wrong with covering a trending topic? I certainly don't think there is, or I wouldn't have a podcast or things to speak about. Regarding your father's audience, there were a lot of people who, after his addiction and feeling like he was not honest about his addiction, a lot of men who sort of switched off from Jordan Peterson. I mean, that is just a fact. I understand and respect that it is your father, and so you're naturally going to be defensive of him. And if it was a family member of mine, I would naturally be defensive of him. But to pretend like I plucked the topic out of pure air simply to be a mean girl and not because it was trending, literally saying that people are wondering what's going on with Jordan Peterson, I think that's you not being very genuine about why I was discussing it. And I think
extremely dishonest of Mikhaila Peterson on that front.
I think that I was tremendously respectful. I also paid him a huge compliment. I think his book and what it did for men worldwide at a time when men were being completely stomped on and masculinity was being questioned. And I said I would never remove that and would never take the credit away from him. But there have been some things that have just registered to the public as odd. I didn't make your father trend that day. So I think he's able to deal with a little bit of criticism.
Absolutely. And I think Candace was even being pretty gracious in that, saying, I totally get why you would be defending your own dad. I would do the same thing. That's a very human response. That's very natural. You should defend your family always. So that totally makes sense. But I think Mikhaila Peterson's in a tough position because obviously her dad was super famous, had a very large male audience, and he's publicly gone through some things, as do people. But Mikhaila's attacks against Candace, just calling her a mean girl and calling the people against the H1B visa program racist, it's tiresome to say the least. All right, guys. And lastly, I wanted to have some fun here because I really do like, calling the hoes out on Twitter. By the way, follow me on Twitter at Isabella Moody _ as you can see here. But Mikhaila Peterson, she's one of those conservative women that just posts really scandalous stuff, like multiple photos of her breastfeeding her baby, as you can see here. And I have a whole thing on whole breastfeeding in public thing. It's an intimate thing that you can do with your baby. Why are you doing it in public without covering up? Of course, that is a huge thing. But why is she posting this photo? Like, what is the point of this? To share your baby sucking on your boob? It's just weird. And there are rumors, people say that she flew to Romania and hooked up with Andrew Tate. I don't know if that's true, but I did tweet this out, never trust a hoe. And Andrew Tate himself responded and said, never. And then Jake Shields said she flew to Romania to see him because she had a business question. And I was like, very boss babe of her. So just some funny stuff. And then what else did I bookmark? She just she'll have any excuse to post her in a slutty outfit. Like, look at, wow, she's a lobster. So conservative. And with this, I tweeted out, I have secondhand embarrassment for her father, which I stand by. I was going to say something kind of cruel. I'm not going to say it. By the way, if you made it to the end of the video, make sure you comment an orange heart. I appreciate you guys so much. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.